Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Judge.
How is everyone this morning?
Good, thank you. My client told me that she'd be joining us by Zoom today, not in person. She's not feeling well, so I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't see her. I don't see anyone in the waiting room. So we'll give her a minute. We're on the record on 20 DR 507. Mr. Knight, if you want to check with her and see if she's having trouble. I know I was having a little bit of trouble signing in a few minutes ago.
Okay, let me call her.
Okay.
Speak of the devil, she just called me. Okay, she should be joining us.
All right. There she is.
Perfect. Thank you, Judge.
No problem.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, I think we have everybody.
Okay.
And we're on the record in 20 DR 507. I was convinced in my own mind that you guys would have resolved this. So I'm kind of surprised that you didn't. So tell me what's happening. We got some pictures over to the other side. We looked at the pictures and we still haven't been able to reach a conclusion on the personal property. Is that a safe assumption?
That's a safe assumption. We sent pictures. They can testify to what's missing. The court can make evaluation. Very straightforward.
Okay. I do have the husband's list. His list is exhibit number 10, I believe. Are there any modifications to that list? I remember he testified to the list at the trial, but I wasn't sure whether there was any modifications to the list that he had entered into evidence.
I mean, I think The tools, I know he went through some of them or most of them specifically. I think he probably went through them all specifically. So yeah. And all of his personal items. Yes, I believe. Was there anything else, Joseph, that was on the list? The one that you just sent me, that was anything extra from what you testified to? I didn't think so either.
No.
Okay. Then let's get both parties sworn in again. Do you both, raise your right hand, please? Do you both swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So starting with Mr. Laird, Mr. Laird, I understand that you have received the pictures from your wife. Can you tell the court what of the items that were on your list that you're seeking you believe are missing?
Quite a few of them.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been in the trades for over 40 years. Maintenance, auto glass, and that pile wasn't 40 years of accumulation of my tools.
Okay.
And some of those tools in that pile weren't even mine, to be honest with you. I don't know where they came from, but they were not mine. There were a few that were mine, but there was the saw, the Milwaukee cordless drill, corded drill was not there. A saw, a hand saw.
Hold
That
on.
the level was not mine. That was in the picture, a yellow one. I had a silver level, a 4-foot level.
Well, let me ask you
There's
this. Hold on.
Okay.
We're making the corded drill, the Milwaukee corded drill, right? And what was the next thing you said that was missing?
A level.
Okay. You said something else before the level. You said corded drill, something else, then level.
I don't remember.
So let's just start there. Is the level that's in the photograph that you say is not yours sufficient to replace the one that you say was yours?
I guess so. I mean.
Okay. Great. So we're gonna leave the level as the level that was in the picture. You're gonna take that regardless of the fact that it's not the silver one, but it's a sufficient replacement for the silver one. So now what we're missing is the Milwaukee corded drill. What else?
Judge, would it be easier if he just told you what was in the picture that was his? And then, because I think that list is shorter than the what was missing list.
Are we here
Okay.
to talk about the what was missing though?
Well, that's what I think. I think we're here to talk about what's missing
Okay,
and to
that's fine.
determine whether the court can make a valuation
That's
of
fine.
what is missing and whether that valuation should be assessed against the wife.
Okay, that's fine.
And obviously, I'm going to hear from the wife too to have her position on the things that the husband says is missing. So, yeah, I think we should stick with it because I understand that the things that are in the pictures. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Knight. The wife is saying he can have them, and we figure out how to get him to take the stuff, right?
Yeah, he has to figure out how to get it out of there, but he can have it.
Okay.
She doesn't need tools.
All right. So let's move on from the corded drill. What else is missing?
Extension cords, a plethora of hammers. There was not one hammer in any of those pictures I noticed, and I had at least 6 or 7. Adjustable wrenches, assorted tools are missing. A toolbox. I mean, I had 2 or 3 toolboxes. I had a couple cloth toolboxes, tool bags. But the one I was concerned about was the red one in the picture, and it was covered up with dirt, and I have no idea where the location of that toolbox was at that I got a photo of. I don't know if it's in somebody's vehicle or if it's in a shed or it's all dirty, and I don't know.
Okay.
And the personal things, or are we still on the tools?
We can move on to the personal things because there was
That's about
there was a list of tools, and then the next part of your list says non-tool items.
Oh, that would be the only thing I would really want is I have a plaster hand and a chalice I made in a jewelry box, a wooden jewelry box, and
And the TV, I remember.
and a TV set, a Samsung, and the one that was in the photo, that wasn't the TV I wanted. I don't know if it's it or not. It didn't look like the one that I wanted that was in the bedroom.
Okay. All right. So you said the main things that are important for you are the plaster hand. What was the other things? I'm sorry.
A wooden chalice I
Chalice.
made, and a jewelry box, a wooden jewelry box.
And were those indicated in the photos?
No.
I didn't get a list of those.
They are, for the record, outlined on Exhibit 10 of the husband's trial notebook that was admitted.
I only saw the list of tools.
All right, well, we'll get to you, ma'am, and you can respond about the things that he wants.
Okay.
So, Mr. Laird, so you want the television that was in the master bedroom, the plaster hand, the chalice, and the jewelry box, but also in your list was a glass ball Christmas ornament of your children made by your mother. Are you still seeking that?
Yes, if it's there. I mean, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, then not
Family
much I can do.
photographs?
Pardon?
Says all of my family photographs.
Yes.
Turtle shell.
No.
Okay, so we can strike the turtle shell. And then French press.
Yes, if it's there.
That's like a coffee thing, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. So why don't we do this next? Why don't we ask Ms. Laird?
May I just ask him a question?
Sure, of course.
Of the other tools, the circular saw, was the circular saw in the pictures?
No.
Okay. So that's missing. And what about the saber saw?
No.
Okay. What about the axe?
No.
And what about the electric sander?
No.
The heavy duty extension cords?
No, I didn't see any.
Shop light?
No.
And you already said the Milwaukee quarter drill, that wasn't there either?
Correct.
And pruning shears?
No, they weren't there.
Okay, so none of those other things were there, but you would like all of those.
Correct.
Okay, all right, I don't have any other questions.
All right.
I have a brief question. How would
Of
you
course.
how would you intend to bring these tools, to take these tools from the property?
How would I intend to get those tools?
Yeah, how are you going to ship them? Are you going to come down and get them? What's your intention?
I'd probably come and get them if it would be all right with them, if it's not an issue.
All right.
Okay. Ms. Laird, you've heard your
Yes.
husband's testimony about the items that are missing. Why don't we start with the personal property, the plaster hand, chalice, jewelry box, and French press, plus the family photos and the glass ball ornament. Do you know if you have those?
Okay, the wooden box that he's talking about, he had given that to me as a gift. He said he made it and he gave it to me as a gift. I don't know where it is at this point. The French press was given to us by a couple he used to work with. That's in the kitchen. I don't use it. I don't want it. As far as Christmas decorations and the hand plate, Joe packed up Christmas belongings because we were planning on moving long before this situation took place. We were planning on moving to the East Coast together. So when Christmas time was over, he always took care of all the Christmas stuff and he packed all that Christmas stuff. I was not able. I had been in bed for 10 months with melanoma cancer and another wound in my leg. I was bedridden. So I don't know where those things are. He's the one that packed them.
Where did
I
you
have
put the boxes though? Where would the box be?
Well, there's a box in he left boxes everywhere, but there's 2 boxes of Christmas decorations. Okay, but I would be happy to look through the Christmas box decorations and don't know where his pictures are. Our pictures were combined, but he took all the pictures off the wall in our living room. He took everything off the walls. I don't know what he did with them. I did not. I was very sick at the time, and I had a very difficult time that he was leaving me. So I don't know. He's the one that packed all these things, not me.
Okay. So, would it be okay for you, to allow him to go through the boxes at some point to see if he can locate the things that are important to him? Because I'm looking at the list of the non-tool items, and I'm finding that it seems to me like the things that are important to him are simply sentimental in value, other than the coffee maker, which maybe it is sentimental in value, but you know, family photographs I take to mean perhaps pictures of his parents or siblings or friends, or things that would be probably not as meaningful to you as they would be to him.
Well,
Go ahead.
I have already sent him 2 boxes because he had things that were of his father's and his mother's, things that they had. When his dad passed away, he was given by his family, and there were pictures and collectibles. His father collected banks, all these things. I contacted him in an email. I asked him, I said, I can't discard these things. I don't know. I know how much they mean to you and to your family. I'd be willing to pack them up for you, but I can't afford to ship them. So I packed up 2 boxes of what I was able to find, pictures, his mother and father's wedding pictures, collectibles, things like that. And I mailed them to him. He never asked me for anything else. I know, but I gave him what I found. I gave him what I found. From your testimony,
ma'am, I gather that there are other boxes of things that you have not gone through that could be the key to finding some of these other items that he would like to have.
Yes, and they're his. He can have them. I don't want them.
Okay. So, and I don't know, sir, that the things that you're asking for, the personal property, are something that the court could put a valuation on, because it sounds to me like they're important to you because they were things that were handmade by you, or, you know, were part of your family history. But I certainly will allow you the opportunity to go to the residence, to go through the boxes to see if you can locate those items and retrieve them. And any other thing that's of a sentimental value that's part of your family history, I can't imagine that your wife would want those. And certainly they would be important to you. You know, I just wanted to ensure that they were somehow preserved and that they weren't thrown out or otherwise discarded due to the difficulties between the two of you when you split up. But I'm taking Miss Laird at her word that she has not done that with respect to the personal items. So what I'm going to do on that issue is allow you to go to the house and go through the boxes and hopefully obtain those things that are important to you. And we'll just have to come up with a plan to do that when you're going to be down here, and you know, it'll have to be coordinated through the attorneys or something. What do you say, Mr. Laird, about the jewelry box? She said she wants to keep it, that you made it for her.
He gave it to me. He made it, but gave it to me.
Thank you. Well, yes, okay. He said he says in his notes that he made it. So, Mr. Laird, can she keep the jewelry box?
Certainly.
There we go. All right. Now, Ms. Laird, we need to talk about the tools. Some of these tools the court is very familiar with. They're fairly large items, such as that corded Milwaukee drill, the saber saw, the circular saw, the electric sander. Those are not just little tools that are lying around like a screwdriver. They're fairly sizable instruments. So do you have any idea where they are?
No, I do not. I sent, when I responded to the email regarding the list of tools, I had explained that the shed, the red toolbox that he said is filled with dirt, it's packed into the back of the shed. Okay. And he had told me when I left, because I did send a picture of how he left the house the day he left. Okay. And it was in complete disarray. And so was the outside and the carport and the shed. Now, we also had a hurricane where the roof flew off of our shed, and there were a lot of things that got damaged. I don't know what those things were, because he was sick, I was sick. and our house was practically destroyed. I don't know what happened to those tools. And I can't go climbing through a shed in my condition.
Okay.
I
And
have,
that hurricane, for the record, was 3.5 years ago. So my question to you, Mr. Laird, is how can you tell the court, or can you tell the court, that those items were in the residence and in good condition when you left? Because she's saying that she hasn't looked at anything in 3.5 years since before the hurricane. And you're telling the court that those items were there when you left. So this is something that I have to figure out here.
Oh, okay. Because I used them when I was working on the house 3 weeks prior to my leaving.
Okay.
may I say something?
Of course.
Okay. The only, as I said, I was not in a good mental state when he left. I spent a lot of time in bed because of depression and what was happening to my life. And he was going around finishing up things that had been left undone for years. I remember him using a saw, and Joe, you would know what I'm talking about. It was a saw and had different lines in it and would allow you to cut different corners on trim. Mike something, Mick box or whatever what is it called? Can you answer me?
Miter box.
Okay. I
Miter
couldn't
box.
find that. And that's the only one that I remembered seeing you use. So I bought one. The one that's in those pictures are brand new because I remember you using that. So I went out and bought one. The one that's in the picture is brand new because that's what I remembered.
By the way, folks, this is a kind of an unusual way of conducting a court proceeding, but I think it might be important to allow you guys to have a little bit of dialogue. And the attorneys aren't stopping it either because, you know, personal property is something usually that is resolved before we ever get to a court hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And the difficulty is we're well past the time that Mr. Laird, you left the residence, and Miss Laird, it seems like she has some difficulties getting around to be able to, climb through the shed and all the various areas that the stuff might be located. So it is possible that some of that stuff might still be there. Did you get rid of any of the stuff, Mrs. Laird? Did you give it to your kids, or you give it to your friends, or you put it out on the road?
No.
Or did you take it to the Goodwill?
No. First of all, I can't pick anything up that's more than 25 pounds. I can't pick it up. That's another injury, not counting the injury to my leg. I have a very delicate leg. I haven't thrown anything away other than stuff that was left on the side of the house that the community is on my back about the condition of the home. So there was things that I had to throw away, but they weren't personal items. When I found his personal items and I packed those 2 boxes, I reached out to him, and at first he didn't respond, and I emailed him again and I said, please don't leave this on me. I don't want to be responsible for these things that I know maybe they don't mean anything to you anymore, but I was in this family for 22 years. They meant things to his family. So I said, if I don't send them to you, I'm going to send them to one of your brothers. And that's when he said, please send them to me. So I made every effort of what I could find at that time to mail them and get them to him. If I'm going to do that, I certainly wouldn't throw away other things that were his.
Okay.
I made several attempts to talk to him. He will not talk to me.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Laird, you had something you wanted to say, sir?
Oh, just a side note. When I left, the shed was totally empty except for a washer and a dryer. And that's about it.
If the shed was empty, where were your tools?
Everything was in the carport.
I'm asking Mr. Laird to hold on,
Okay.
Ms. Laird. Mr. Laird, if the shed was empty, where were your tools? These things that you've just told the court are now missing.
They were in the house and some were in the shed. There was a big filing cabinet, which I had, which was loaded with my tools.
Is the filing cabinet still there, Ms. Laird? Mrs.
There
Laird?
is a toolbox that looks like a filing cabinet. And from what I was told, it was found on Craigslist, and my husband, Joe, told my son that he could keep it.
What do you mean it was found on Craigslist?
That it came from somebody getting rid of it on Craigslist. That's what I was told.
Is it still in the house?
It's not in the house. I don't have anything like that in the house. There's a toolbox. There's a big green toolbox. I showed a picture of it to Russell. I was told it was my son's. I don't know whose it is. Ma'am, I had been very, very sick for a long time.
I understand.
Okay.
Mr. Laird, is the item that you're talking about the big green toolbox that Ms. Laird just said to the court that's still there?
I don't know if it's there, but most of my tools that I mentioned, it was big enough to put a circular saw in there and a replicating sawzall, and other tools and screwdrivers. It was big enough to house all them.
Okay.
How big is it?
If it is still there.
Was it green? The filing
Yeah.
cabinet.
Was it green?
Same height as me, about 6 foot, and it had a lot of shelves. And
Do you remember what color it was?
it was like an off green.
There we
Okay,
go. We agree on the color. That's amazing. Where was it?
Simple.
It was inside the house?
No.
Where was it?
They would put a hole in
I don't
the-
know your house. You guys got to tell me.
It was outside in the shed.
You just said the shed was empty.
No, just outside. It was in the shed. I don't know if they moved it, but it was in the in the carport. I've been gone a little bit, so I don't know where this stuff has gone to.
Right. Oh, that's the problem. All right.
May I say something?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. When he left, as I said, there's a picture that Mr. Knight has of the condition of my home.
Mm-hmm.
So he could spackle holes and finish what work needed to be done in the home. Everything came off the walls and everything went over the floor. It looked like somebody put in a moving truck and just emptied it out in the house. The carport looked the exact same way. I gave Russell a picture of that. In fact, that big green toolbox that's in it, Russell asked me, is that his toolbox? And I said, I don't know. And then I asked my son and he said, no, it's mine. Dad and I actually talked about it and Dad said I could have it. So and it's green. I've shown it in pictures. So if that's the one he's talking about, it's here. But when he was here and I asked him what, because there was this conflict that the house was not on the market. And I said, I can't put the house on the market in the condition it is in. There is junk everywhere. When he said that the shed was empty, that's because everything was put into the carport. The community was sending me letters constantly to get rid of this stuff outside, get rid of what's in the carport. I was going to be fined, all these things. So all that stuff went back into the carport, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what was in the carport. It was just all put back into the shed. And I wasn't in any condition to sit there and make a list of items of what he walked away from and left in debris all over the place for me to clean up.
Who put the stuff back into the shed?
My son helped me. My people from my church helped me.
And nobody took any of it?
No, nobody took any of it. But I can't tell you what was there and what was not there, other than the toolbox you can't miss. The red toolbox is there, and the tools that I found there. I did not find any power saws. I only remember him using a power saw that was our neighbor Jerry's. He would use some of his tools sometimes. But once he had the heart attack and then the hurricane came, there wasn't a whole lot of tools being used. It was the hurricane, his heart attack, and my cancer for a year. And then a few months later, he was gone.
What relief is the husband seeking in the event that the court finds that the tools are missing and that he had a right to recover those tools?
I believe he testified to a monetary amount. Well, he said, I'm pretty sure that I asked him the value. I think it was a value in total.
He gave me a value of personal property in the house of $10,000, which I can honestly tell you guys, I don't believe.
Oh my God.
I mean, for old used furniture, no. He can certainly tell the court that he thinks that's what it's worth. But the court is not going to assess a $10,000 value on old furniture.
Yeah, I don't have any evidence or testimony of someone who evaluates tools and what they're worth. So I don't have that for the court.
I know, that's the problem here. I mean, I can't give him retail value of used tools. It sounds like a lot of these tools you've had served for 40 years. Mm-hmm. So the question is, if the tools are actually gone, how do I put a value on them? And again, like I did with the personal property, you know, I'm more than happy to make an order that also lets you go back to the house to try to recover any of the tools that are there, including that green toolbox, unless you find that you really do want to give it to your son. I mean, it's yours. You're free to give it to your children if you want to, but you know, my job is either to get it back to you or to put a value on it. And it's, unless I can figure out a way to value it, I mean, there's nothing really I can do other than say you can have it back. So, Mr. Laird, yes, you want to say something?
Oh, sure. I'll make this simple for all of us.
That would be great.
They keep the tools, whatever they want. I just want my personal stuff, my chalice, my handprint, my ornaments, and whatever else there is. That's
Where
all.
are they?
And to make it easy, where is it? I don't know. I didn't destroy the whole house like you have illusions that I did.
I have pictures of what it looked like.
We're not going there, folks. We are not going there. No way.
I'm not going there. I stopped.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
it
sounds to me like Mr. Laird has been gone from the house for a long time, and Mrs. Laird has had some health issues that have prevented her from taking stock of what is remaining. And from Ms. Laird's testimony, it sounds to me like she didn't sell, give away, or destroy any of the items that were left. But she doesn't have the ability to go through those boxes or go through the house and try to figure out where it all is. So it makes sense to this court to have Mr. Laird go to the house and be allowed to go through boxes and be allowed to go through the shed and go through the toolbox and go through whatever other things are around the house to determine where the things that he seeks are located and to take those things. And maybe you guys can do it together, but maybe you should have somebody who goes with you, a third party, to avoid any conflict that might happen as a result, to assist you. And maybe, you know, a son. You guys have a son together. Maybe your son would be willing to come with you, although maybe not. There are people out there that you can hire that will go and help you inventory personal property, but they're expensive. So, you know, I think the last time when I was practicing law and I had somebody go to the house with an individual to go through personal property, it was like $100 an hour or something. So, you know, it was expensive. But I do think, sir, that you should be able to go to that house and go through the stuff and find all of your personal property, including the television that you want, and also to see what items are left as far as tools and to take those as well. So how could we facilitate that? Any ideas? How about we ask the attorneys? Guys, what can we do to help these two folks? Get Mr. Laird over there to get his stuff and make it so that it's not an awful situation for both of them.
I would recommend that they just go with a sheriff. In his initial, like, he comes in the morning with the sheriff, he identifies what he's going to end up taking. The sheriff says that's fine, and then Ms. Laird, and then there's a third party. Ms. Laird says that's the only thing she's taking, and then he comes in and he can take that stuff in the afternoon, and everyone's fine. I've always done it with the sheriff.
Well, the problem is if he actually has to go through a shed and go through boxes and go through a big tool thing and, you know, dig through boxes and boxes of Christmas ornaments, the sheriffs aren't going to stand there and let him do that. They're going to be like, you got 10 minutes, buddy, get your stuff and get out. So that's the problem. You're not going to have somebody who's going to say, I'm going to give you an hour in the house, Mr. Laird, so we can climb up in the attic and go through boxes and stuff. I mean, they're just not going to do that. So it might be maybe a good idea to either find a mutual third party or hire someone.
He'll
I'm
have-
sure I could find someone from my church if that's okay with Joe. I'm sure my pastor would come over, and they know both of us. They've known us for over our whole entire marriage.
Mr. Laird, does that sound like a solution? Having a pastor that you both know who's probably pretty neutral, just stand by to make sure there's no conflicts between the two of you?
I don't think there'll be a conflict. I don't think we need anybody.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Well, then, Ms. Laird, if you feel more comfortable having your pastor there, bring him over. That
Okay.
makes perfect sense. But Mr. Laird is saying he doesn't plan to engage in any conflict. And you want to have somebody there to make you more comfortable. I think that makes sense. I can't imagine that a pastor from the church is going to do anything other than just sit idly by, hopefully. And so then we'll just need to have a time frame when this is going to happen so that Mr. Laird can come back to Naples. And you guys could always coordinate that date without my assistance. If you want to put it in a court order, we could do that. Whatever works for everybody. But I think we've got a plan.
Well, in all honesty, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to be living here either.
Well, I think it's going to happen soon. Mr. Laird, when can you come down
Okay.
here?
I'm already
Next
3
30
months.
days, within the next 30 days?
Yes.
Great. So within the next 30 days, a plan will be made for him to come down here and to try to find the things that are important to him, to take them back with him. And arrangements will be made, date and time, through the attorneys. And Ms. Laird, if you want to have your pastor there, that is perfectly fine. And hopefully this will be resolved. Yes, sir.
And if I don't want him there,
Well, if you don't want him there, then I would suggest to you that you hire somebody who's independent, and that third party would be completely neutral because it would be a paid person. I know that there are private investigation firms in Naples that I think some of them will do stuff like that. I know there was one occasion that my firm had retained Sal Gardino, who's a mediator, who actually went over to stand between people. I don't know if he's still doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
He may have stopped because that can be very conflict ridden. But Mr. Knight,
So my pastor can't be here?
doesn't sound like he wants him there, or he may object to him. And if he does, my suggestion would be that he pays someone to go with him instead of the pastor. That way it would be somebody that neither one of you guys knows.
Okay. So
Knight, did
is
you have a
he-
suggestion?
No, Sal would be a great guy. He's very nice and would reduce the conflict between these two.
Yeah. I've known Mr. Gardino my entire legal career. When I first started out as a lawyer, he was the court mediator. And since then he's gone into private practice, and he still does mediations and arbitrations, but I think he also will assist parties for a pretty reasonable fee to resolve disputes like this between the two of you, and just kind of stand idly by so that there's no conflict. But that's a paid person versus having a person that would, come from your church man. But I'm going to put the responsibility for paying the gentleman or lady or whoever it is that he wants to hire on Mr. Laird in the event that he wants to exercise that option. Because I think that makes sense. All right. Any other suggestions or thoughts?
I do want to say that as far as the tools, that the hedge cutter and the shears, I still have to live here until they evict me, okay? Because I'm 3 months behind in rent. So they have landscaping here, but you are responsible for maintaining the bushes and all that stuff. Those things were bought to maintain the property here. That's why they're not in the pile, because they're part of the house. They have to stay to maintain the house. I'm not going out to buy those things again. I already bought them once.
You're 3 months behind in rent, but I recall your trial testimony to be that your rent had been paid by the CARES Act,
Up
by the
until
COVID relief, and also by a Love Inc. company, and that you were just waiting to see if you could get some financial relief for the month of February. So now I understand that you're changing your testimony to reflect that you're 3 months behind. So I'm a little confused.
I can explain that.
Yes, please.
The CARES Act themselves paid my rent for several months up until December 1st. Okay, then the CARES Act was stopped for December in Collier County. Collier County took over the Collier County Coronavirus Relief Fund.
Right?
So they sent me the paperwork. I applied for that. I didn't know it was only going to cover 1 month. So I received, so they are covering December. So I'm behind January, I'm behind February, and now March is around the corner. So Love
But you
Inc.
indicated to me that January was paid by something called Love Inc. or something.
They were, Love Inc. has the money, and Love Inc. went to the front office to pay it, and the front office would not accept it because the Love Inc. did not have the late fees.
So when did that happen?
That
That
happened.
the front office didn't accept it?
Just recently. Just recently. I can find out from the director of Love Inc., but I don't have that. I've been very sick for 2 weeks and been getting IV infusions, and my health is not good. So I don't leave the house much, and all I have this is in emails. I can find that out, but Love Inc. has the money to pay that rent, but they don't have the money to pay the late fees, and the property manager will not accept it without late fees.
I understand. But you're not 3 months behind.
Well, I'm going to be. There's no money out there for me to get. I've been living on $800 a month, and the blessing and services of everyone else for the past year. You know, I find it amazing that a 22-year marriage, and he walked out 14 months ago, and the only thing we're talking about is his tools.
Oh, we had a full trial, ma'am, on everything else. The only reason why I gave you the time this morning was because there was the issue of the tools, but I gave you plenty of time to tell the court about all of the other issues that we had about your marriage and the request for everything else on your side and also Mr. Laird's side. The only reason why we're here this morning is on the issue of personal property and the tools. We had a lengthy trial where both of you provided testimony and evidence that the court is considering. The only reason why you do not have a final judgment from me right now is because I wanted to give you adequate time to prepare the issue of the personal property for the court today. So everything else has already been discussed, I believe. So
perhaps I don't remember discussing what my issues have been since he left, but.
Well, that's unfortunate because we had a trial of your case where you were present and you gave us testimony about a week ago.
I understand that, but
What is your complaint to the court? Do you feel like you were not heard? Or do you feel like you have other issues that were not addressed in court?
My problem is that when he left, there were agreements made that he would assist because this was a life that we established together.
Right, and you told me all about that. You told me about the promises that he made as far as keeping the lot rent paid, putting money in the bank account, paying certain utilities that weren't paid, and other monies that were promised to you that you did not receive. I recall your testimony.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. I just, I mean, I don't even have the notes from your trial in front of me, and I remember a lot of what you both said about the things that happened since your, since Mr. Laird left. And those are things obviously that I have to take into consideration when trying to come up with a reasonable final judgment for both of you.
Thank you.
Based on what you both told me about the marriage, the demise of the marriage, and where you both are in life right now. So that's something, that I consider, my obligation to both of you to be a big responsibility. And so that's why I try to make sure that not only do I have my notes, but I have your notebooks. And I also have my recollection of what you guys said to me. I think we've come up with a resolution of the personal property and those issues. I am going to attach to my final judgment as an exhibit the husband's list that he had, so that you'll know, Ms. Laird, exactly what he is looking for when he comes down to go to the residence. That order will also include a provision that in the event that Mr. Laird disagrees with the pastor being present during the personal property retrieval, that he may hire someone to accompany him at his own expense. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I think
My
that's it.
my apologies.
No problem. You know, here's the thing. You were married a long time, and it's very upsetting. Plus, you've been sick, and you feel like you've had no help since your husband left. And believe me, I understand how that can affect you emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically. So no apologies are necessary. It's a very difficult thing to go through. And believe me, I understand that. As I think I told you guys at the beginning of this, most of my career was spent in family law. So I came to really understand how painful it was for people who are going through basically what's considered to be the death of a marriage. And you mourn that loss very deeply. And it can be very overwhelming at times, not only being on your own after the divorce, but also everything that comes with it and the emotions that you face. So I truly understand that there may be parts of your testimony that you don't remember conveying to me as a result of it being very emotional, but I remember it, trust me, okay?
Well, I don't miss the marriage. It's the deceit and the fact that everything that I worked for in my life, I've lost. I've lost all of it. Everything I've worked for to put in my life for this stage of my life, I've lost. I've lost life insurance. I've lost long-term care insurance. My credit score is in the toilet because I couldn't pay anything when he stopped helping me. I can't get a loan. I can't get a credit card. I can't get anything. And I'm going to be 64 years old and I have nowhere to go. I have no security set up in my life because I believed in my marriage, and everything I got from my inheritance, I put into both of us, establishing a home and a life for both of us. And then the two of us always worked very well together. We were best friends and we worked side by side on many jobs. And so once he came to me with nothing but a van, but when that inheritance came, I put that money into establishing our life. And then the two of us worked full time to maintain it.
I
But
understand.
because he did not help me maintain it in this past year, I've lost all of that. So I have been left with nothing. So it's a little hurtful to sit here and talk about his tools when everything I put in, I've lost.
I understand. But my job is to hear from everybody. I
understand that.
I had to hear from you, and I also had to hear from him, because that was what my job is. So
I
understand that you're hurting. And I hope that when this final judgment is finally executed by me and you guys have closure to this chapter in your life, that it'll help you heal. That's all I can say. I'm very sorry for everything you're going through, but hopefully getting this concluded will help some healing to start for both of you. So if there's nothing else from you guys, I think I'm going to sign off, and I will prepare that final judgment and hopefully have that to you soon. Okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
everybody. Have a good
Have a good
weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
And
you.
Natalia, I'll get the exhibits over to you. I have the exhibits still, so